Do you recommend green vegetable juice each day?
Oh, I love green vegetable juice every day. Do I do it myself? I have done it myself for years at a time, and you get in and out of these habits and patterns. It depends on where you're living. When I was living in Southern California, it was so easy because the health food store would make it, and it was right down the road, so you could go there and get your green juice. Or this is a great tip for people who are out of money: is I would go to the health food store when I had no money or too much month at the end of the money, and I'd say, hey, you guys are throwing away produce. Can you guys just put it all in a bag for us and like just we'll come by at like 7 p.m. Just throw it in the back of the health food store. We'll just take the trash bag. And they would do that. And so we'd get big trash bags full of lettuce and celery and stuff they couldn't sell, cabbage. And we'd go back and we'd juice it. So we'd have these big glasses every day of green juice. That was so fun. Sometimes it's a little intense, and that's generally where I get to sometimes. Sometimes if you're doing like dandelion green juice, it's a little intense. So I'd like to tone it down with celery and cucumber, which just makes it a little bit more palatable. Or you put something in it like lemon or apple, so those acids like the malic acid or citric acid cuts through a little bit of that intense alkalinity. Because these juices, green juices, are very alkaline. They're really good. It's a really good source of energy. No calories. It's amazing. There's no protein really. I mean, it's protein in it, but not enough to really be a source of energy. There's no like stimulants. There's really no sugar, but you're getting all kinds of energy out of it. What a great weight loss tool.
What do you eat every day?
Geez, one of the things I don't eat the same things every day, but I would say I eat chocolate every day. I'm a cacao grower. I'm a chocolatier, and we actually perfected the idea of making raw chocolate, which is the processing of the chocolate, keeping it below a flash point temperature so that the chocolate doesn't actually burn or singe or become too hot. And that cold processing chocolate is called Sacred Chocolate. That was my company. We are in the process right now of handing that company off to two friends, which I'm very, very excited about it. We ran that company for 15 years. So I'm like, I want to do something else. They want to step in. So that process is happening right now. I'm very excited about it. And the chocolate that I originally was putting out there and still putting out there tremendously is the raw chocolate nibs, beans, powder, butter, which then allows you to make your own little chocolate drinks and your own little chocolate concoctions and elixirs. And that's one of my favorite things ever. I had one last night. It was just awesome. It's always awesome. These are always just a great thing to have, especially if you're hanging out with friends at night. We had a big party last night, and we were all celebrating, and we had chocolate drinks going around, which had things in it like there was an herbal tea underneath it. I'm not sure what the herbal tea was. Maybe it was some kind of might have been chaga tea, chaga mushroom tea. And then we had some oat milk in there, and we had some cacao powder and a little bit of cacao butter and a few nibs. And then we had a little bit of honey. Then we had what did she use? She used lucuma. Lucuma is a really great kind of non-glycemic sweetener. So it's kind of an emulsifier where it brings the fatty element, say the oat milk, together with the sweet element, like say the honey. So it bridges that. So when you drink a drink that has lucuma in it, lucuma is used in ice creams in South America. Every ice cream you could ever get in South America has lucuma in it. And it just bridges that sweet. So it's like almost smooth without a flavor taste bump at all. So it was a wonderful drink last night. That's a very common thing for me to do. Another thing, of course, I eat a lot of is avocados. And I had half an avocado this morning. Very common. Love eating avocados. I've been an avocado grower since 1978 and grow currently 40 different types of avocados in Hawaii when I can get there. Haven't been there in a while, but heading back to our farm there very soon. I'm very excited to get back there. And I've been a seedling avocado grower. So I don't grow grafted avocados with the grafted avocado is like a Hass avocado. So you always get the same type of avocado every time. I'm trying to breed true from seed. I'm trying to get the best genetics. And then people who like grafting will come to my farm and be like, hey, I like that variety right there. Can I graft that variety onto this rootstock? I'm like, sure, come over, get whatever you want. So that's kind of my relationship with the avocado growing community on our island there in Hawaii is more of one where I'm breeding for different cultivars and different profiles, and then people who like that will come over and then they'll take a cutting of that and graft it onto a rootstock and then grow an entire tree, so you produce the exact cultivar that I had created, essentially. Does that make sense? That's what grafting is in the fruit tree world. Not everybody understands grafting, but that's a quick synopsis.
What are the top 10 nutritional supplements that you recommend everyone take each day?
Oh, I love enzymes. So supplements I really love. I love enzymes. I'm always trying different ones. This is the current ones I'm doing right now from Life Extension. I was doing Masszymes for my friends over at BioOptimizers, and I'm just always trying different ones and just love enzymes as a category. I like probiotics as a category. I'd recommend the most important probiotic, especially for people who are rebuilding their digestion, is L-Plantarum. L-Plantarum, and that's a really good one to culture vegetables with. So if you want to culture your cucumber, onion, cabbage thing, and you want to like, okay, let's just culture it and get it to ferment, make a sauerkraut out of it, then you're going to use L-Plantarum as your primary bacteria, friendly bacteria. So probiotics is on my list. Of course, I'm a huge charcoal fan. My charcoal's in the car right now. Otherwise, I'd show it to you. But I make actually a particular charcoal product called Coal Biter, which we just decided, because I found out, this is something most people don't know, it's very common in the supplement industry. There's a very wide variance in quality control in the supplement industry. So when I really got heavily into charcoal, I was like, I want to develop like a charcoal product. And I just started getting into it. We had real troubles finding quality charcoal, real troubles. I was really shocked to find that out. Activated charcoal, you see it everywhere, right? You see it in every health food store. That stuff is, it might have 1 part per million lead in it or more. I personally can't sell something like that. So that stuff in the health food store may have that stuff in it, but I have certain standards. So I just kept going deeper and deeper on the standards. Finally, I was like, geez, this is actually a difficult project. It's our most difficult project even today. And so if people who know my Coal Biter product, they know that I'm sold out of it often because I can't get the quality that we want, but I won't compromise on quality. I'm not, I can make money other ways. I don't need to make money on selling products, but it's a hobby of mine. I actually love being in the product business, and that's why I went back to it. I was off of it for a few years, and then went back to it because I just love it. And right now, the people who are actually shipping the products, a family, so it's a family-run business, which is really fun. Anyway, this is a big category, the charcoal category, because charcoal in terms of detox is the number one substance. It's the safest, it's the simplest, it makes the most sense, it has the most research on it. The research on it is astounding, and I'll leave for people to look into it. I recommend getting a few books on charcoal, some wonderful books you can just pick up off the internet on charcoal and its history and longevity research. I would say if I had to pick any single supplement to give me the best odds for living the longest, I'd say charcoal is it. Animal research is conclusive about that, and that's the reason. And it's also a black substance. Charcoal is black, and this is a known thing in Taoism and Chinese medicine, that black substances are associated with longevity. So then we'll go to another one, another black substance. Shilajit is another big one that I love a lot. I spent many years looking for the best Shilajit in the world, and really, you just can't trust products unless you really do your due diligence. And it took me a lot of years to finally lock down on Pure Black. Pure Black is the best Shilajit in the world. They've got the best quality controls. They've got the best sourcing. And I eventually tracked down the guy who owns Pure Black, and we became friends. And I really was like, man, this is something else. You've really done a great service here, because the Shilajit product, which comes from India, it comes from the Highland Mountains. It's not only found in India. There's Shilajit that comes out of many mountain ranges all over the world, but that's where it became popular for human consumption. There's many contaminants that could get into it, when you're dealing with like the India supply chain. You got to make sure you're going right to the source. Otherwise, they might cut it with stuff, in order to stretch it. We've all heard those stories before. So that's another big one. Shilajit, a black resin from the mountains, and it's a pure adaptogen. So that's another big one on my list. What else would be on my list? I like this one, the one I was showing you earlier, the omega-3. This one is the DHA EPA. That's my algae oil. So I want to make sure I'm getting my omega-3s in every day. I really recommend that for just cognitive protection. We're in a world where our body will outlast our brain for most of us. And that means that this could go before the rest of us goes. And we've seen that. It's dementia and Alzheimer's, and we don't want to deal with that. So we want to make sure we're getting the right fats and oils. And I would recommend, if you're going to cook anything, use coconut oil or an ethically harvested palm kernel oil, or even olive oil, just not too hot. but not these cottonseed, corn oil, soy oil. Any of those things are very disruptive of the brain. And I would associate those things not only with heart disease, but also with Alzheimer's and dementia. So because your brain is oily, so get the right kind of oils in there. What other ones do I like? Geez, there's so many. This is right here, my Ormus Gold, and this product. I usually put it on my head right here. This is a long story, but essentially, it's a discovery that minerals like gold can exist in forms that are not what we think they are. And you can see here, it's basically a clear liquid, right? There's gold in there. And if you test this, you'll find that there's gold in there. I'm going to put it on this little ouchie I have over here. So rub that right in. That's another one. I use it topically. And that's a story. If anybody ever wants a story on that one, Ormus Gold, ORMUS. It's a research project. Dig in. I spent 25 years on this project, and it's near and dear to my heart, but too long. We'd have to go 7 hours to tell this story. So that's another one that I was always, it's right here. Another big one, and I actually have right on the desk here too, that I've been using lately, again, from just a little tendon injury, is Dmso. So this is Dmso right here. So Dmso topically and in a spray bottle is great. Dmso allows you to target a particular area with sulfur. When you get too much nitrogen bonding, you get scar tissue, and the tissue loses flexibility and elasticity. This allows you to get the sulfur in a curative way directly to where the problem is. If we eat something, we have to hope that it's going to get to that location, right? If we eat something like omega-3 fatty acids, we have to hope it's going to get to our brain. Dmso is interesting because it allows you to target it right where the problem is. And in a spray bottle is a great way to do it. So if you get Dmso off the internet, a good way to do it is either get a bottle, like a glass bottle, and put it into a spray bottle, or just buy it in a spray bottle. It's easier to use that way. What else do I have here? I mean, I'm a huge fan of herbs, so I do a lot of tinctures of herbs. Like this is one that I made right here. This is a chaga tincture. And I love this thing's awesome. Oh, this is so good. Let me do a little bit here. And you're going to get more of the fast-acting immunological benefits from the medicinal mushrooms in alcohol than you will from medicinal mushrooms as tea or powders. So I do them all. I do every form of medicinal mushrooms, wild ones that are grown in a lab, ones that are extracted. This is all wild that I picked, actually, and then extracted. This actually sat in alcohol for a year. So this is it's tasty. I just love it. But this is, let's say you feel like a cough or cold or flu coming on, then you hit the medicinal mushrooms in tincture because they're fast acting. If you're just doing a daily thing, medicinal mushroom teas are great, or medicinal mushroom powders that you can throw into smoothies or things are great and taste good, by the way. Because people always ask me, is like, if I get a powdered like chaga mushroom, that's made, that it has to be lab grown. If you powdered a wild chaga mushroom, it's got too much fiber in it, chitin. You can't actually, it just go right through you. It's like eating wood. But the lab grown stuff that's a powder, it's actually quite good. It's delicious, actually. And it's got a lot of immunological compounds in it. And it's a good thing to have in your diet, but it's not fast acting like this. Now, I will do many different things. Somebody gave me a nice one. Let me see if I got this one here. I might have finished it off. Let me see. Oh, well, this was a similar one. This is my friends in Calgary, Alberta made this one. It's called an Alpine Winter Wellness Tonic. And this is all wild herbs. I think 10 wild herbs that they picked in their local ecosystem. Wild harvested spruce, pine, juniper, usnea, Labrador tea, yarrow, rose hips, local lion's mane, and then also a type of medicinal mushroom, which is called Ganoderma apollinatum, spruce pitch, which is the pitch of the spruce tree, which is like a resin, pine resin, and spruce tip honey in alcohol. This is really good. This is one of those things you're like, what is this thing? So these kind of things, these little alcohol tinctures is the category here. Really fun. Man, this is so good. This one. It reminds you of winter. It's got that pine, conifer flavor in it. So that's another big one that I do. I do a lot of C60, and I'll show you a C60. C60 is like a super, let me see if I got it here. It's a super charcoal. Oh, maybe I don't. Oh, no, here it is. Nope, that's my coated silver. I got coated silver instead. Anyway, the C60 is a oily delivery system for a type of charcoal that's always in every charcoal, but it's just a very small fraction. It's the most active part of any activated charcoal. It's called carbon-60. Worth your investigation. It's a great investigative research project. Get on the internet, punch in carbon-60 and just do some research there. I ended up working with a scientist who I actually work with two scientists on the project. And so I do two different products. One was created by this one scientist, another's created by another scientist. So they're different products than what you're going to find on the internet, because I've been in the C60 world longer than everybody. I just kind of stumbled across it because a friend of mine was training Olympic athletes, and she had her athletes breaking world records and breaking personal records after 10 years. That was another one that really got me going. I was like, broke your personal record in rowing. This one particular incident, this guy broke his personal 10-year record in rowing. And I was like, wow, okay, that's something. So that's what originally got me into it. So carbon-60 is something you should look at. Actually, you know, I do have one. There's one right there. That's one of them right there. And this was made by one of those scientists. The other one is made by another scientist who's a really interesting character. And this guy worked at very high-level universities for years and years and years. And he's not in the United States. He works in another country. But eventually his government was like, hey, you're going to be working for us now. And he's like, no, I'm not. Because he's in his 70s. He's done with government bullying. So he just took off and he left his university environment. He's like, I'm not doing anything for the government or the military anymore. Forget it. So he's doing that other project for us. Now, the coated silver, this is the best colloidal silver in the world. This was developed by a friend of mine, Dan Goya, who's a university professor, and he's involved in about 40% of the electronics in the world. He's a major character in that world. He can't even tell people that he's doing this because they'd be like, what are you doing with those hippies? You know what I mean? Like his world is high tech. And so he eventually got into the world of doing silver ionization into different matrices. Like, for example, one matrix might be protein, another might be polysaccharides, and another might be a sulfur-bearing protein complex. And there's different ones, or polymer. And what ended up happening is that they started realizing, like, hey, the jelly ones, the ones that are made in aloe vera gel, you could eat it. Right. And you could use it topically, crazy topical. In fact, last night, I was with a doctor and a friend of mine at the party, and a friend of mine cut his finger right here badly. He gashed his finger here badly, all the way he had a flap. Right. So he's on his way to this guy's office, his doctor's office. And they said, hey, can we put the coated silver directly on the wound? I said, yes, put it directly on the wound, in it. Like, open the flap up, put it right in there. Just take a couple drops of this. This is 20,000 parts per million. Let me just give you an idea of, like, it's like liquid mercury. You know, you see that? It's most colloidal silvers is clear because it's not this kind of concentration. The reason why we can get this concentration is because you're injecting the silver into a matrix, so it can't clump to itself. So you can get a tremendous dispersion of silver ions without them clumping, and you can get something that's beyond. I didn't even think it was possible. In fact, for a year, I was like, no, it doesn't exist. And he kept coming back to me, and I said, no, this is it. Finally, I was like, okay, I'll check it out. At any rate, I saw this last night. So that he cut himself here. He had to get 2 or 3 stitches. And I just said, every day, put 2 or 3 drops of coated silver directly on the stitches, directly on the wound. The doctor told me last night, he said, you know, let me get a little bit of water here. The doctor told me last night, he said, you know, I didn't really want to stitch up the wound with the coated silver in the wound because that's just not, it's against protocol. But my friend Joyous, he's like, no. David Wolfe said it was okay. You know, it's fine. Just do it. Then he's like, okay, I'll do it. So he stitched it. So he folded the flap over and stitched it all up. I said, Joyce, just keep every day putting the silver on there. And he did it for about maybe 3 or 4 days, and he forgot about it. That's what happens, by the way, because it'll heal so fast. Any topical skin thing or mouth thing will heal so fast. Even chapped lips, you'll forget about it. Within 1 day, it'll be completely healed over. So what happened is it was so healed up a week later last night that the doctor took the stitches out right there in front of us. And he said, and he told me, he's sitting right next to me, he told me, I've never seen anything heal like this ever. He's like, what is a coated silver? And I'll hook you up with a bottle. So that was a really interesting meeting last night. This is really a breakthrough. This coated silver, especially for injuries, topical injuries, is really special. My assistant, her sister's finger, she cut off the end, either the middle finger or index finger, just the end of her finger, dicing vegetables. Similar story. A week later, it was back to normal and pink. It was really, I just said, just keep dousing it on there. Keep dousing it on there. She's like, really? I was like, yeah. Then we'd unbandage it the next day and do the same thing. So that's another one. And I can take it internally. So if I'm going to take it internally, what I'm going to do is just get some water over here. And then I'll just show you how to do this. I take it internally this way. So I'll take one drop like that. And I'll just put one drop in there. That's it per day. Remember, that's 20,000 parts per million. You don't need more than a drop per day unless you're under tremendous pressure in an environment where, like, for example, in Tijuana, we had whatever COVID-19 is, certain hospitals were unaffected. Certain hospitals were very affected by whatever happened. And one of those hospitals was in Tijuana. And they had a big surge of something, whatever COVID-19 is. And so we were given bottles of coated silver out to the doctors there, just because my friend, he's in San Diego, so his wife is Mexican, so they go back and forth a lot. So he brought bottles over there. And the doctor said right around 6 drops to maybe even sometimes 8 drops a day when they were under heavy pressure of a lot of infected people with whatever they were infected with coming into the hospital would protect them, the doctors and the nurses. So he actually signed a sworn affidavit to that, by the way. So normally under normal conditions, just 1 drop. You don't need more than 1 drop a day. But under that condition, you could do 6 or 8 drops a day because of the situation at hand. So that's another one that I do. What else is in my arsenal of my favorites? I'm trying to think of my normal routine. That's probably it. I mean, I'm sure I could come up with other things. I mean, there's only so much you can eat in a day. Oh, another one. Now I'll tell you another one. I've been doing this one, actually. Did I bring it with me? Yes, here it is. Okay. I've been doing this. I've been doing the magnesium. Now, I've had a big trouble personally finding a magnesium that I really like. Maybe other people agree. There's just certain magnesiums I'd be like, it tastes awful, or it just doesn't do anything for me, or whatever. So I finally found one. This is my friend Wade Lightheart, wonderful guy. He has his BioOptimizers company, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 different types of magnesium in here. It works for me. I don't know what else to say. This one works for me. I finally found a magnesium that I really like. So and they're big capsules too. And I'll just do 1 or 2 or 3 of these a day like that. And it's cool. So that's another one that I'll do is the magnesium. I will take encapsulated herbs a lot. I've pretty much downed them. I'm out right now, and so I'm going to get a new batch. But I kind of want to finish off everything that I have, and I recommend that for people. It's kind of fun, when you have a lot of supplements and stuff. Just at some point, just go through it all, get rid of it all, get your cabinet emptied out, and then start over again, so everything's new and fresh.